Hello, everyone. Today we're going to do a read aloud and we're going to focus on growth mindset. I'm going to explain what growth mindset is and what a fixed mindset is by using the story called Rosie Revere Engineer. And I'm going to show you some slides. First slide is called Growing Your Brain, a PowerPoint on persistence, mistakes, and enjoying challenges. Okay, it's important to challenge your brain. What do you think your brain would do if you only did easy things all the time? Like 1 + 1 is 2, and you were never challenging your brain to think harder. Some people think mistakes are bad. I made a mistake, I must not be smart. But if you have a growth mindset, like this first picture in this anchor chart, whoops, I made a mistake. I'll fix it. I'll try again. I can do this. I'll try. I won't give up. I can do hard things. I can believe I can do it. My brain is smart. I want to learn. And yes, I'll try my best. Where a fixed mindset would be, I quit when they make a mistake. I don't care. This is too hard. I can't do this. No, I don't want to do this. I don't feel like it. This is boring. I hate this. I'm dumb. So, as we read this story, I want you to think about what growth mindset is. Okay. Even when things are too hard, you don't want to just give up because our brain is meant for a challenge and to work through that challenge. So I'm going to start reading Rosie Revere, Engineer by Andrea Betty, illustrated by David Roberts. And if you remember, we read another book about engineering earlier in the year when the kids went to the Port of Los Angeles. So this is just another engineering book. This is the story of Rosie Revere, who dreamed of becoming a great engineer. In Lila Greer's classroom at Blue River Creek, a young Rosie sat shyly, not daring to speak. But when no one saw her, she peeked in the trash for treasures to add to her engineer's stash. And late at night, Rosie rolled up her sleeves and built in her hideaway under the eaves. Alone in her attic, the moon high above, dear Rosie made gadgets and gizmos she loved. And when she grew sleepy, she hid her machines far under bed where they'd never be seen. When Rosie was young, she had not been so shy. She worked with her hair swooping over her eye. She made fine inventions for uncles and aunts, a hot dog dispenser and helium pants. The uncle she loved most was zookeeper Fred. She made him a hat to keep snakes off his head. From parts of a fan, some cheddar cheese spray, which everyone knows keeps the pythons away. It sounds like Rosie's an innovator and she makes creative things out of unusual things. And when it was finished, young Rosie was proud, but Fred slapped his knees and he chuckled out loud. He laughed till he wheezed and his eyes filled with tears, all to the horror of Rosie Revere, who stood there embarrassed, perplexed, and dismayed. She looked at the cheese hat and then looked away. I love it, Fred hooted. Oh, truly I do. But Rosie Revere knew that could not be true. She stuck the cheese hat on the back of her shelf, and after that day, she kept her dreams to herself. And that's how it went until one autumn day, her oldest relation showed up to stay. Her great aunt Rose was a true domino who worked building airplanes a long time ago. She told Rosie tales of things she had done and goals she had checked off her list one by one. She gave a sad smile as she looked to the sky. The only thrill left on my list is to fly. But time never lingers as long as it seems. I'll chalk that one up to an old lady's dream. That night, as Rosie laid wide-eyed in bed, a daring idea crept into her head. Could she build a gizmo to help her aunt fly? She looked at the cheese hat and said, "No, not I." But questions are tricky and some hold on tight, and this one kept Rosie awake through the night. And when dawn approached and red streaks lit the sky, young Rosie knew just how to make her aunt fly. She worked and she worked till the day was half gone, then hauled her cheese cooper out of the lawn to give her invention a test just to see the ridiculous flop it might turn out to be. Strapped into the cockpit, she flipped on her switch. The helio cheese copter sputtered and twitched. It floated a moment and whirled around and round, then froze for a heartbeat and crashed to the ground. Then Rosie heard laughter and turned round to see the old woman laughing and slapping her knee. She laughed till she whizzed, her eyes filled with tears, all to the horror of Rosie Revere, who thought, "Oh no, never, not ever again will I try to build something to sputter or spin or build with a lever, a switch, or a gear, and never will I be a great engineer." So now it kind of sounds like Rosie's mindset is fixed. She doesn't want to try because she's afraid of making mistakes. She turned around to leave, but then great Aunt Rose grabbed hold of young Rosie and pulled her in close and hugged her and kissed her and started to cry. "You did it, hooray, it's the perfect first try. This great flop is over. It's time for the next." Young Rosie was baffled, embarrassed, perplexed. "I failed," said dear Rosie. "It's just made of trash. Didn't you see it? The cheese copter crashed." "Yes," said her great aunt, "it crashed. That is true. But first, it did just what it needed to do before it crashed, Rosie. Before that, it flew." So Rosie was having a fixed mindset, but her aunt was like seeing the brighter side. It did fly. "You're brilliant. First flop was a raging success. Come on, let's get busy and on to the next." She handed a notebook to Rosie Revere, who smiled at her aunt as it all became clear. Life might have its failures, but this was not it. The only true failure can come if you quit. So now this is where the growth mindset comes in, that you don't want to give up even if you make a mistake and it doesn't work the first time. They worked till the sun sneaked away to its bed. Aunt Rose tied her headscarf around Rosie's head. She sent her to sleep with a smile ear to ear to dream the bold dreams of a great engineer. At Blue River Creek, all the kids in grade 2 built gizmos and gadgets and doohickeys too. With each perfect failure, they all stand and cheer, but none quite as proudly as Rosie Revere. Sorry. And that was the end of the story. So, as you can see, the difference between growth and mindset and fixed mindset is, with a growth mindset, it's okay to make a mistake because you're going to learn from your mistake. Maybe you didn't do it right the first time, but if you keep trying, you're going to get it. Just like Rosie. She was so excited to be an engineer and build things until somebody brought her down. And then she had a fixed mindset where she didn't want to make mistakes. And so she didn't want to try anymore because she was afraid of what others would think, until her aunt gave her that encouragement and that love and told her, it's okay. We need to have a growth mindset so that we keep trying. And that's the only way you're going to learn, is if you want to try and never give up, even when it's too hard. And sometimes you think you can't do it. So I hope everybody has that growth mindset. Take care.